Hey everyone, welcome to my vlog. My name is Darren Keim, and today I want to talk about the coronavirus, the thing that is on everyone's mind, also known as COVID-19. This thing is really changing up stuff in our country and in our world, and it's kind of interesting. I've never seen anything like it, and most people will not be able to say that they have, other than the people that I work with on a regular basis in the nursing home where I'm at, where there's a few people that are still, actually, now that I think about it, we've got a couple 97-year-olds in there, but nobody that I'm aware of is actually of the age where they would remember the Spanish flu of 1918. I don't know if any of you guys have watched the Netflix special called Pandemic, but check that out. It actually talks about that a lot. And we're getting a lot of comparisons between the Spanish flu of 1918 and the COVID-19 virus of 2020. I want to talk about an angle to it, though, that is kind of, I think it needs to be talked about in order to give us perspective. I posted on Facebook yesterday photos when I was at Walmart last night. Aisles were completely bare. And it was just kind of really hitting me, as I'm in the store, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this. In the store, there's people with gloves on, there's people with masks on, walking around with hand sanitizer. These people are scared. And why wouldn't they be? Why is anyone not really kind of on edge about this? We look at what they're saying, there's tons of news coverage of it, that it is highly contagious, that it is especially dangerous to the elderly population. When initial reports came out, it said that the mortality rate on this thing was 3.4%. To put that in perspective, the seasonal flu is 0.1%. So this thing is massively more contagious, according to those numbers, than the regular flu is. But then I started to dig a little bit deeper into it, and I felt that it was necessary to bring up something that is important that we all consider as we're going through this. Now, this is not to downplay the importance of taking this seriously. We need to take it seriously, but it is something that I think can help put things in perspective for us. And that thing that I want to talk about is I want to compare this thing to some of the seasonal flus that we've had, and specifically to one that hit really hard that was actually by the World Health Organization labeled in 2009 as a pandemic. Matter of fact, it was the last pandemic before this one, the H1N1 flu, also known as the swine flu. So before I get into them, I already know that there will probably be people saying, these are not the same things. You cannot compare these things. How dare you compare these as the same thing? I'm not comparing them as the same thing. I understand that this is a new strain, that it is more contagious from what we can tell, that so far it still does have a higher mortality rate. But if we're going to go by what the numbers are, I think that that's important to keep perspective of things. So the site that I like to use to get my information, I've been compiling from a couple different sources. I'm just going to give you facts because I think it's important to hear some numbers that you're not hearing on a regular basis because of our media. I believe that our media whether they're doing this purposely or they just feel like they're doing their jobs and giving you wall-to-wall coverage. They are covering this thing far more than the swine flu was in 2009. I remember hearing about it, but that's as far as it went. And then as far as the regular flu, I mean, it's the flu, like, oh, it's flu season. Oh, hope you don't get the flu. That's basically how we've treated flus in the past. Now, that seems completely normal. That seems like what we should do until you start looking at the numbers and you look at the reaction that we are getting from this one versus the regular flu and from H1N1, which you don't really hear anything about other than that most of the media saying that Obama handled it superbly and Trump saying it was a disaster. Obama's handling of H1N1 was a disaster. So you get both sides of it. And I think it's important that we take a look at some of the numbers. Real quick, too, another disclaimer. Two things can be equally bad. They can be different, but they can be bad. And it's good to recognize both of them as bad, such as if a tornado tears through the town. That's not good at all. It's okay to say, let's avoid tornadoes. It's also okay to say, wow, that hurricane that hit Florida, really bad. The tornado and the hurricane are both really bad. It's okay to recognize that both of them are really bad. And it's okay to say that if you're going to recognize one that's really bad, it's important that you recognize the other as really bad. And it's important to put them in context. If you feel like you're extremely aware that one of them is really bad and you know that you wouldn't go near it, would you apply that same logic to the other one or vice versa? If one is dangerous, but you know, okay, I understand the perspective of these things. They happen occasionally to people every year, and people every year will die from hurricanes and tornadoes, but it's important that I don't allow my life to get ruled by the fear of it. Because I feel like that right there is what we're doing differently when you look at H1N1 and the seasonal flu versus COVID-19. People are treating this one differently, like it's more dangerous than the other ones. And it very well could be. The media is definitely pumping up that possibility, and everyone's buying into it. However, let's take a look at the numbers. Before we get too freaked out about COVID-19, ask the question for yourself. Have you examined the numbers for yourself to see how bad this thing really is? Because right now, China, we first started hearing about this in December. Started hearing about China. Now we are December, January, February, March into this thing for China. And the sites that I'm going to, Worldometer, gives you live updates of everything that's going on in the coronavirus situation. World Health Organization, obviously a good choice to go to since they compile the data from all over the world about these things. Center for Disease Control, also good. And then in addition to that, I've been going to podcasts. I've got Tim Pool. He is on the I'm starting to get a little alarmed side of things. He leans left, but he's extremely objective from everything that I've seen of him. So he's a good one. And then on the other end of it, you got somebody like Clay Travis, who's a sports broadcaster for Fox Radio, but he regularly talks about how people are freaking out of their minds for no apparent reason when you look at the numbers. Somewhere in the middle, you've got somebody like Ben Shapiro. These are all people that I feel they give you the facts first, and then they give you their opinions of them. It's important that you're getting the facts first so you can decide for yourself. So I'm going to give you the facts, and then I'll give you some of my impressions, some of my feelings on the COVID-19 situation as it stands right now. So Worldometer stats. So far, COVID-19 worldwide, 182,605 cases. This was as of last night. So it actually is, I think today was 187,000 cases, close to 190,000 cases worldwide. Now let's compare that just for the fun of it. Let's compare it to the H1N1. Now, granted, H1N1 was 2009 to 2010. It was an entire year. So they obviously had a lot more time to compile their data. COVID-19 is 3 months, 4 months in, depending on if you start from China. And many people think it's just starting. It very well could be. So it's important that we understand that as we consider these numbers. But it's also important to look at them for the perspective of it. Again, sorry to go off on tangents, but I want to set this up the right way. Okay, COVID-19 worldwide, 182,605 cases as of yesterday. H1N1 worldwide in 2009 to 2010, up to 1.4 billion cases of infection, up to 575,000 deaths worldwide, versus, this is the death total as of yesterday, March 16th, 2020. Death total worldwide, COVID-19, 7,171 deaths. Let me read that again. H1N1, up to 1.4 billion cases of infection, and up to 575,000 deaths worldwide, versus currently COVID-19, 182,605 cases total, 7,171 deaths worldwide total. Okay, so with that being said, that you can see the big difference. There are many experts. I'm going to go through this cautiously so you have the full context that I'm not dismissing COVID-19. COVID-19, a lot of the experts are saying this could be worse than H1N1. A lot of them are banking on it almost. And that's where I get a little leery. It's almost like they're saying with certainty that it's going to be, when they don't really know that yet. Based off what we're finding out, you know what, I'll just keep going to go through the numbers, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. So in the United States, let's go to the United States. In the United States, 4,708 total cases, COVID-19. In the United States, H1N1 in 2009, 61 million cases. Now, let me just ask you a question as we're going along. How many of you remember hearing about H1N1 or the swine flu? I remember it, but it was very casual, very much in passing. And no one really thought about it. Where was the media coverage of the swine flu? Now, it was there, obviously, because we all remember hearing about it. Do you guys remember businesses stopping? Do you guys remember people going to grocery stores and looting the dairy aisles and the toilet paper aisles like I just showed pictures of on my Facebook? And I can put them up with this link. So, do you guys remember that? I sure don't. Okay, so just keep that in perspective. All right, let's go back to deaths. Deaths in the United States. Now, I do know as of today, according to the Worldometer stats, was 97 total deaths. And I think also reported by CNN today. Let's go to total deaths in the United States, H1N1, 12,469 deaths. Now, again, that's the whole year. Again, though, right now, we are at less than 100. Now, that will rise, but let's keep those numbers in perspective. Okay, mortality rate. As we've been told from the beginning, it's 3.4% for the COVID-19 virus. And the H1N1 mortality rate, now that we have all of the information in, even though it affected 1.4 billion people, or in other words, 1 in every 5, the mortality rate turned out to only be 0.02%. Now, I'm setting that up because I just read something on a site called statsnews.com, but you can probably find this anywhere. I know The Guardian was talking about it too. The death rate the mortality rate is lowering as they're catching more tests and more data on this thing. So China started off just like a bullet out of a gun with infections, people dying, all of this crazy stuff. We do not know exactly what was going on with China because they are a government that their media, this is a fact, their media does not allow for proper statistics often to be broadcast. That's how they handle their population. They did the same thing during the NBA season when we went over there and one of the NBA owners said something about liberty, supporting liberty and supporting Hong Kong. China had a major issue with that, and they showed samples of some of the stuff that China was saying about the basketball team, and it was like such cheesy, like we went out and we enjoyed a wonderful display of athleticism by the United States and our team here, and all joy was shared. Like very overly optimistic, basically sugarcoating over and completely ignoring what was really going on. How the U.S., many people were pissed that a lot of the players didn't also agree and stand up for the sake of these Hong Kong people who didn't want to be under the under the rule of communism. And that's what China was trying to do to them. Anyways, that's another story, but they have a media that is not allowing for statistics to come out accurately or correctly. They are also trying to, through different tweets of like certain officials, they're trying to make it sound like we started this thing. They are trying to basically get out of the responsibility of it. Okay, so with that being said, let's take a look at what the mortality rate is turning into. That statsnews.com site, after more data has been collected all around the world, more testing has been done, which allows for more people who have actually had the disease or the virus, but they just didn't even know that they had it. Now they're getting tests for mild symptoms, not just severe ones. The mortality rate has already dropped to 1.4%. So it's already, that's 1/3 as potent as what we originally thought that it was. We originally thought that it was 3.4, and depending on where you're looking, like, you know, Italy getting hammered, they're looking like they're at like 6%, which is nuts. But you got to then take a look at South Korea. South Korea is at like 0.6%. So the mortality rate is decreasing. Now, with all that being said, I just want to also give you some stats. I got some stats here on the regular flu. I just want to ask you guys if you remember this. Did you guys know how bad the 2017-2018 flu season was? So Fortune.com, Fortune magazine, they report on culture, stuff like that. On February 10th, 2018, Fortune.com, you can go and look this up, they reported the flu is killing up to 4,000 Americans every week. That happened. Did you guys know that that's how bad the flu was in the 2017-2018 season? Did you guys know that in 2017 and 2018, according to the flu, there were 959,000 hospitalizations, 61,099 deaths in the U.S. This is according to Fortune.com, and they say they got their number from the CDC. But then I was looking at the Washington Post, who was reporting for that same year. They also say that they got their information from the CDC. And the Washington Post said that season, 2017 and 2018 flu season, that 80,000 people died. And many of them were pediatrics. So this strain of it It's a novel strain, and it's hardly having any effect on children at all. Like there are no children fatalities. Like children under 9 have not died from it at all. So the regular flu, they do. But what we're seeing is the opposite end, where a lot more elderly patients are dying. And that's where, we're seeing the other side of it. So the reason why I wanted to point out that the 2017, 2018 flu is, where was the media coverage on that? They said that when this one was, as I was reading these articles, they were saying how this is an especially difficult strain that they found to overcome or to kill. Like they said it's not quite a novel virus, but it is, giving them more problems than they usually get. Let me see. Worldwide, the estimates of this 2017 to 2018 flu killed up to 650,000 people. All right. So again, I'm going to just take it back. Worldwide coronavirus as of yesterday, 182,605 total cases, total deaths, 7,171. All right. This thing has been going on for several weeks now. We are seeing certain countries, by the way that they're handling it, they are handling it well. And there is not a large spike in the number of cases anymore where it's just like skyrocketing. All right, I'm going to pull up Worldometer on here because I want to go over the total number per million according to countries, because I want you guys to understand. All right, I'm pulling it up now. The United States. All right, the United States is on the rise. Like as of it's increasing this much. Okay, total cases per 1 million people in the United States, 20. So in the entire United States, there are a total number of cases of 6,499 cases as of today. This is current right here. That is an addition of 1,836 cases. Total deaths in this country, 112. Okay, so it did go up over 100 as of yesterday. And actually as of earlier today. So it is rising. There's no question about it. Plus 26 deaths. Let's take a look per million though. 20 cases per million total. This is not just the people that died. So think about this as of right now. 20 cases per million. Out of 1 million people, 20 people are getting it, or we are aware that they have it. Obviously, they are saying that they think that a whole ton more people have it. So those numbers will rise. But as they rise, what we're probably going to see, like the other countries that have been handling this thing the right way, that the death mortality rate is actually a lot lower than what they were thinking. So it's a matter of, okay, let me show you actually before I draw my conclusion for you all. I want to give you a couple more numbers. Italy right now is they are blowing up. They've got 31,506 total cases. That is an addition of 3,526 new cases, 345 new deaths. And for their population of 1 million, per 1 million people in the country of Italy, there are 521 cases of coronavirus. All right. Still, as large as 521 is, as significant as that is, this is still per million. This is per million. They've been going at it for a while now. It's not quite getting that acceleration, like exponential acceleration, like you would expect if things are getting really out of hand. Italy is, let's see, according to added deaths, they are the worst in the world. More deaths were added in Italy than any other country. Let's take a look at the original case, China. Obviously, people are saying, well, they're a dictatorship. They're just locking people down. Okay, aside from tactics, because we're basically all locking ourselves down too, they're at 13 new cases. Of 80,894 total cases, they have 13 new ones. Per million people in the massive, over 1 billion country of China, they have 56 cases per million people. They were the ones that it started with. They were the ones that everybody was getting freaked out about. It's already left them in South Korea, who they're at 164 cases per million. They had 9 new deaths. They're still doing just fine. It moved from them to Europe. So now Europe is taking the hit. Iran's getting nailed too. Anyways, it's moving on to them. We are the third line. We are the third wave right now. For our size, we are at 20 per million. But we're doing pretty good. We're doing all right. And so it's important to keep these things in mind when we see the stuff on the news, when we watch Trump talk about things. And you know what? I say, believe what you want about Trump. I'm not here to try to say that he's a good guy. If you really don't like him, then I respect you. I can understand if you believe that he is the things that a lot of you believe that he is. I personally don't believe he is all of those things. I don't believe he's a misogynist racist who is out to just be a rich white man and put everybody underneath him. I do not believe that that's who he is. So, but if you believe that way, fine. I get it why you would be upset with him. However, we need to look at these measures that are taking place, look at the numbers, and it's okay to say, I hope things go well, because we are all in this together. This is a ship that it doesn't matter who's steering it. He's the one that's steering it right now. That's a fact of life. And if we don't want to sink, we have to get behind him. And you can say how horrible of a job he's done, but understand that you also just need to do your part to help this situation along in a way that doesn't cause people to panic, including yourself. So let's look at the good things. Let's keep this stuff in perspective. Let's do the things that we were supposed to do every year with the flu season, because that's legit too. Let's wash our hands, not sneeze on people, not cough on them, not lick surfaces, and let's just be cool about it so that way, as we're going through this, we can be there to encourage the people that need it. I know for a fact there's not anybody here that has elderly people in their lives. Nobody wants to see them die from this. Nobody wants to see them get hurt from this. We are all in this together. Right now, it's not about whether capitalism or socialism is a better way to take care of them. We are here. They are our parents or our grandparents. Let's take care of them. Okay? We are young. This COVID-19 doesn't really have any effect on us greater than the regular flu does. So what that means is let's do what we need to do to keep them safe. If that means going and getting groceries for them, great. If you have to leave them on their doorstep so they can come out and get them, and that way they're not in direct contact with you, fine. If they need to if you need to take them somewhere, these are all things that we can do. And if nothing else, you can give them a phone call. You can say that you love them, say that you're here and that life is going on, be that sense of stability for them. These are the things that we need to start doing as we're going through this. And it doesn't help anything to try to point fingers at anyone right now. So I guess that's the number one strategy. We can look back on this stuff, and according to the numbers right now, if things start tapering off, look at what we have done with our economy and with our world if this is literally something that just stays in the thousands. We don't know that it's going to, but it might. So on one hand, we're going to be like, oh man, the economy was terrible. We really destroyed the economy. That's rough. On the other hand, we're going to be like, wow, because of the way we came together, we stopped this thing in its tracks. The experts were saying it could be as bad as the Spanish flu of 1918, which wiped out millions of people. But now we were able to come together. We were able to do what we needed to do to give the people in power enough time to do what they need to do. Those things being, they need to get ventilators. They need to get ICU beds. They need to find a vaccine. They're working on all of those things. They are working on doing those things right now. So we have to take this quarantine seriously, or whatever it is, for as long as we can to give them time. I guess that's how it is. There's no point in defying the powers that be, including like very qualified doctors who are up on stage speaking for Trump, and Trump is just saying what they're telling him to say. There's no point in defying them because you don't like Donald Trump. That's not helping anything. Let's take care of each other, and let's go about this the right way and move forward with perspective of understanding that things have been this bad before. As of right now, they've been a lot worse. So we're handling things right. Let's just stay the course. And anyways, if you guys like my content, as always, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Darren Keim. I have some stuff in the works. I'm working on a website right now. It's called nakedeyemedia.com. And it's spelled with a naked I, like the letter I, because it's talking about all of the things that I've been talking about in all my vlogs that are basically about when you break everything down, when you get down to the truth of things. Who are you? Who am I? What's the naked I looking like? And I'm really excited about it. We'll see how that goes, because I'm just kind of going about this at my own speed and kind of learning it as I go. But it's kind of fun. So look forward to seeing you guys again. Again, feel free to subscribe. Until next time, I love you guys.